Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Future Mobility Forum Business Session 2. Future Mobility Forum is held in order to elucidate the social issues we need to overcome in order to achieve the vision for the future, together with leading experts in the mobility industry. My name is Yurina Takiguchi, and I have a pleasure of serving as a moderator for this session today. So now I would like to introduce the panelists for today's session. First of all, Mr. Tokushi Nakashima, CEO and Representative Director of Global Mobility Service, the company that offers inclusive mobility fintech services for those people who couldn't receive mobility loans and leases due to low credit score. The company is attracting attention, and the company received the Elite Award for the startup business. So you appeared during the day one of the special session Future Mobility Forum, Mr. Nakashima. Yes, I have been looking forward to this opportunity because I have been in this the mobility automotive industry for nearly 30 years. And the first 20 years I was in the manufacturing side of the business. So all these my colleagues and among the panelists are the people whom I worked with together. So Subaru, and Mr. Osaki, my company back then created 150 parts and components which are certified as the authentic, the genuine parts for Subaru, and we had been associated with the company. So as a startup, from the manufacturing and the business and all the way up to my current business, actually in the Philippines, and I created the EV company, Japanese EV company for the first time. But even if we created the good EVs and the vehicles, well, many people in the developing countries, they have difficulty getting financial support and the financial loans to buy those cars. So we need to create such finance loan and the structures. And now we received 300,000 units and the equivalent of loans, and we created a new world to make the vehicle available. And now we are shifting from the automobiles to the mobility. And in this Future Mobility Forum, I'd like to share some of my views. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Nakashima. So not just the hardware, but the mobility point of view. You have been in this business for quite some time, so I'm looking forward to talking with you. Next to him is Mr. Yosuke Hidaka, CEO of Mars Tech Japan. Mr. Hidaka conducted researches in Japan and abroad and POC on the social implementation of Japanese-type Mars while doing his doctorate work at the University of Tokyo. So, Mr. Hidaka, very nice to have you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Hidaka from the Mars Tech Japan. So I have not been directly involved in the automotive industry. JR East Japan, the railway company, is where I started my career as the operators, and then after that I went back to the university and the public sector transportation mobility as a service. This concept is the focus of my work. And in 2018, in order to achieve the social implementation of Mars, we started our business. Thank you very much, Mr. Hidaka. So you have a much broader perspective on and how to create a Mars in Japan. That is what I'd like to ask you. Next, Ms. Fariza Abidova is a serial entrepreneur, providing support to accelerating technology innovation through cross-border, cross-industry collaboration. So she is the CEO and co-founder of Trusted. So Ms. Abidova, happy to have you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for sharing your precious time with us. I'm from Uzbekistan originally, but the Kobe University, I studied at the Kobe University 20 years ago. And after graduating from the university, I started my own business. What I'm doing right now is in Tokyo and Switzerland, we have offices, and we are conducting venture building. Focus themes there are clean energy and mobility. So in these areas, how to involve various players and stakeholders and make it sustainable and at the same time profitable to make the business case. And we do this together with the clients in Europe and in Japan. Thank you very much, Ms. Abidova. So I'm interested in learning about your overseas experience as well. Now I will introduce executives from JAMA. First of all, Mr. Atsushi Osaki, CEO of Subaru Corporation. Mr. Osaki, good afternoon. Yes, my name is Osaki from Subaru Corporation. So today, the monozukuri manufacturing of Subaru, particularly the challenges involving AI, the use of AI is what I'd like to introduce to you today, and would like to introduce what we do at Subaru. Very nice to see you. So there are challenges involving the use of AI. Exciting topic. Next, from Daihatsu Motors, Mr. Masahiro Inoue, President of Daihatsu. Over to you. My name is Inoue. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So Daihatsu Motors in Japan, well, we focus upon K cars, and many users are enjoying the benefit of our K cars. That is how we are recognized. But Daihatsu, well, we produce 1 million cars in Japan, and in Asia, ASEAN, 2 million cars there. So we have the size of 2 million units. So within Toyota Group, well, entry car is the positioning we occupy. And we try to stay close to the consumers, and try to perfect the monozukuri manufacturing at the Daihatsu. Thank you very much for your comment, Mr. Inoue. From UD Trucks Corporation, we have President Mr. Koji Maruyama. So over to you, Mr. Maruyama. Thank you very much. My name is Maruyama from UD Trucks. Good afternoon. Well, we focus upon the commercial vehicles, particularly large-sized commercial vehicles that are large trucks. So this is the vehicles that support social infrastructure and transporting various goods. And from that perspective, I'd like to participate in the discussion. Thank you very much. So we have 6 panelists altogether. So first of all, the first topic of today is shown here: Frontline of Japanese mobility manufacturing. So this is the topic we are going to cover to begin with. So technology is advancing quite in a remarkable fashion. In the past the few years, and the ChatGPT and the Gen AI and are being introduced. And in the business and the daily life, it is almost the natural part of our day-to-day life to use AI. Software is advancing, but how about the hardware? Is it progressing as well? So that is what I'd like to hear from you.
So it is referred to as a Cambrian explosions of technology. With the use of technology, what is the new common sense of utilizing technology? So that is the very first topic that we would like to discuss among the panelists. Now, we will be covering 3 sections, which are shown now. In the initial section, the importance of the manufacturing in the Cambrian and explosions of the technology, and we will be talking about the evolving AI technology. The second is what is the winning strategy centering on the mobility, where Japan had the strength in the manufacturing. So we ask you to present the vision for the manufacturing companies among the mobility companies, and then to appeal the strengths. Next is future of the development of manufacturing supply chain and value chain, expanding from the mobility. So that is the third topic, starting from this mobility. The first session is the importance of manufacturing in this era of Cambrian explosions of technology. There is the evolutions of the software, but at the same time, building the hardware is very important, particularly to have a good infrastructure for our living. So on this point, Mr. Osaki of Subaru, let me ask you first. Manufacturing in the field of mobility, along with the evolutions of the software, it's been changing a lot, isn't it? Now, with the significant progress of AI, that is very impactful. In all the aspects of our living, AI technology is being incorporated. There are new industries being emerging, and also to resolve the societal issues, medical, educational, innovations, and reform. The evolutions of software is giving a tremendous impact to the society. Under such circumstances, we in the mobility industry software may be evolving, AI may be evolving, but physically, we transport goods and people. That is what is required in our industry. Therefore, the role to be fulfilled by hardware is still very significant. Now, to manufacture the hardwares in this very field, looking at the mobility industry in Japan, we are the forerunner, we are the leading company, even from the global scale. Because we are the leader, we have to further evolve the manufacturing of the hardware as well as to further push forward of the AI. Then we can go up to even higher stage. So the world of software as well as the hardware, which is at the interconnections between those two worlds. So could you tell us some of the actual cases, specific examples? Take, for example, at Subaru, advanced driving support system, eyesight, is the hardware that we have. But with the software technology, in a very advanced way, stop, turn, and drive, it have a very sophisticated control, and there is the environmental recognition technology or the vehicle control technology, and if we combine that with the AI, we already made an announcement to collaborate with AMD. We can utilize their AI semiconductor so that we can have more precise control to cater to the real world requirement in order to have higher level of safety. Thank you very much. Eyesight is already available, but you are further brushing up with the use of AI, so that is what you are already working on. Now, Nakashima-san, let me ask you the question. Hardware world, software world, you are experiencing both. Now, what are the potential of the mobility industry have with further evolutions of the software? In a nutshell, mobility society based on the mobility expected of the citizens of the world. And I understand that there is a high level of expectations to the hardware. However, hardware alone is not good enough to involve the entire aspect of the mobility because we have changed. We have to come up with the good vehicles. You have to run, you have to stop, you have to turn. Any of the top management of the mobility companies, while they are blind and to drive their vehicles, their car is so sophisticated with high level of control. So how to add value is very important. Now, in this field, eyesight was mentioned by Osaki-san, and as one of the added value, functionality ought to be added on. According to some think tank, in 2035, the sales of the autonomous vehicles car will be reaching 1 trillion yen. However, sales from the service industry will be tapping into 10 trillion yen. So the mobility industry work hard to come up with the autonomous driving vehicles. However, the service industry people will take the advantage of what is being provided to the market. They will sell 10 times as high. The mobility people may complain about that. However, inclusive of that portions of the sales, we have to take them in to co-create, to conclude a partnership so that we can both grow. So we have to involve the software. We have to draw in others as well. That is what is expected, and the hardware is at the center, right? Yes, because hardware is visible, so that can be attractive. Software is invisible. So the role to be fulfilled by hardware is fairly large, and also it can further expand to encompass a software. Now, inclusive of the body of the vehicles, we say is the hardware. Thank you. Maruyama-san, over to you next. Hardware, mobility industry. Where is the manufacturing industry stand as of now? Thank you. As was mentioned, let me talk from a different perspective. What is the current positioning of Japanese manufacturing? After burst of bubble economy in the subsequent 30 years, if you compare Western country, China and Japan, Japan was the only company that did not grow. We could not grow our GDP. Now, from 1990 to 2022, in the 30-year period, the nominal GDP growth rate was 1% per annum, or less than 1%.
But it is 4% or higher than 4% for US, and the 12% or even higher for China, because China has become the global manufacturing base. And the US focused upon the development, design, and IT. They made the transition, and that made them successful. So the lower price and the goods are supplied by China, and that put the Japanese economy in the stagnation and the deflationary stagnation. But that doesn't mean that we didn't realize any improvement of the manufacturing excellence. Japanese also improved very hard the quality, and also introduced IT technology to enhance the productivity. So the cost and the very high quality products at the very competitive pricing is what we can offer. The Japanese manufacturing has become even stronger, and it's going to be even more stronger in the future. I'm looking forward to that. Thank you very much. How about you, Mr. Inoue from Daihatsu, the possibility of manufacturing monozukuri? How do you see that? Yes, in case of Daihatsu, there are many automotive OEMs, and our role that we play is from a luxury to the entry-level cars and the passenger cars, commercial vehicles. And our role is to offer all these vehicles. That is the definition. And earlier there was a discussion about the hardware and also eyesight from Mr. Osaki. What is interesting about the Daihatsu is we have so-called sumaashi. Sorry, this is the buzzword or the word we use for internally, but the smart assistance is what it means. So we try to offer something good at the lower price. Back in 2012, we started this, and in the past 12 years, 5 million units. We achieved 5 million units. So 500,000 units per year. That is the features that we're offering. Well, the 50 to 60,000 yen per piece. That is what we are offering. So the role of Daihatsu is to offer the high technology products, but not really the edgy products. Well, these high technology, advanced technology becomes more available broadly in the market. We try to introduce it at the more competitive pricing. So that is how we have offered our hardware to the market. Okay, thank you very much. So Daihatsu has also introduced the advanced technologies, but you try to democratize the use of the advanced technologies to more popular cars. Yes, you're right. And the K cars are getting more popular in the other countries. That is what I learned when I traveled overseas, and they called it kawaii or cute. So Japanese K cars are being loved and received quite favorably. Now, Fariza-san, Ms. Abidova, I'd like to ask you about the other countries' situation. So something like the K cars of Daihatsu, which is unique to Japan, how is it seen? And also, what is unique about the Japanese products? How is it viewed in other countries and other perspectives outside of Japan? And also, you are working both in Japan and Europe, and the different. Are there any difference in terms of the approach to mobility? Yes, the Daihatsu cars is a good example. So in Japan, the Japanese the culture is to look at the sustainability, high quality, and also efficient production process, kaizen. So these are quite well known outside of Japan as well, overseas. So that leads to collaboration opportunities. So both large companies and startups, they are interested in working together with the Japanese companies in order to come up with the solutions to solve the issues, not just in Japan, but the other growing markets like Asia. They want to work together in order to capture growing market like Asia. Looking at the situation from Europe, well, successful processes, innovation methodologies, we analyzed that and conducted research. And what is there is one effective methodology emerging. 10 years ago, BMW team they created the venture clienting, which is the spin-off part of BMW. What they do is that they try to have a broad range of the partners like the academia, startups, and the research institute, even the government offices, involving all these the stakeholders. They try to capture the trend and also use the available solutions and combine them to try and use them. So the issues are to be clarified by the business unit, and based upon that, startup come up with the solution for those issues. POC is done in the quick manner, and in the business in just 3 to 4 months' time, they try to introduce it commercially. So it is very speedy. And then there are many business units who are against these ideas. However, gradually, these mindset to involve external parties, and it has been nurtured. For example, contract and the internal processes, and also the processes to get along with the external parties. These were also being influenced and changed. And now, 10 years after that, core innovation part is the part where the offering from their startups can be easily introduced, as Mr. Nakashima earlier mentioned. Not just hardware manufacturing, but the core technologies, the core assets are to be shared with the external parties. And you don't have to take all the risks. You don't have to do the development all by yourselves. And you can do that by involving other external parties. And we can share the big vision to solve the societal issues. So welcome. So they try to involve other parties. That is what we need to do probably in Japan. And we have a good process to begin with. So not just investment, but to sharing the know-how may be good enough to attract and involve the other parties from outside. That is the kind of a mechanism we should establish. So involving other stakeholders. So is that the example of Germany? Yes, BMW started that 10 years ago. And for 5 years, we also conducted that in Japan. And about 50 companies, European, for example, Siemens, Bosch, these major players have already introduced this kind of approach. So this is not just the only one approach. There is another one like a venture building. So we can use different methods for different applications, and we already have them available. By using all these processes, ultimately, what we need to do is to find something that is suitable to us, suitable to our culture, spending some time. For example, you may need to develop that in 10 years' time, but you don't have to start from scratch.
It may be difficult to generalize, but in Japanese mobility industry, which methodology may be suitable? Or any suggestions of the good way forward? Two things. I talked about venture client earlier. That started from non-core, and the daily kaizen can be one, or to change one's own culture, to involve as many external parties as well. Then the venture client methodology may work. However, the core innovation strategy, be it Siemens, Bosch, Siemens, they do have the core part, so you have to do the core thing by themselves. And venture building is very trendy these days, and we are also doing that. Will it make a business case? Will it be profitable? To set the theme at an early stage. Some of the assets can be shared. However, if you don't have the experts, or sometimes when you don't have sufficient funds, then try to tap into the external world and try it out, the concept, try it out, and if it can build into a good business case, then you will be more involved. However, for non-core part, you should catch up with the trend, being involved with many external parties, and also sometimes you have to spend some time to build the core. Well, the external party can be involved, however, the core part shall be done in-house. Osaki-san, having listened to what Fariza-san have to say, any view from you? Europe is a starting continent of motorization, so they're very good at manufacturing, and they are the leading player in the world. So we constantly benchmark ourselves against Europe. Take, for example, government, industry, academia collaborations is one case in point. And as Fariza-san has mentioned, there are some scheme, technology, a skill that you don't possess inside, and then you partner with others so that you can further grow and evolve, and that can be taken as a good reference. We, Japan, will be able to do that, or we are at a high time that we start doing the same thing here in Japan as well. Slightly changing the perspective, at Subaru, our company, there should not be any accident, because how we started our business is the aircraft. Therefore, safety always comes first, no matter what. So in order to provide the ultimate level of safety in the real world, we have to detect any hazard or the risk. And within our control technology, try to reflect those potential hazards and risk. That is very important. Now, talking about the future possibility of manufacturing, and if AI will be able to fully leverage that, then AI can learn about the hazardous situations, the risks, and also monitoring, sensing, recognitions of the environment, and then apply that to what can happen. Then we will be able to make a great stride forward. That is a strength of Subaru, because we totally focused on building that capability in-house. Now, if I may talk about the forefront of the development, diverse scene on the real world will be put into AI for the training, and also the logic ought to be built on a desktop basis, and utilizing that logic, and then with the actual vehicle, with the hardware, whether the functions work correctly will be verified and validated. That is what we do at our company. This desktop logic building to the verifications at the actual vehicles, this is done by the same one engineer. The entire process is being done by the same engineer. In other words, the engineer will go into the vehicle, him or herself, think by oneself, feel that, as well as to reflect that into the physics. That is a culture that we have in Subaru. It requires a lot of work, but engineers are highly motivated. I'm glad to see the high level of motivations that our engineers have. So with the further leveraging AI, we can take up the different challenges. So that is how I describe the current state of Subaru. And also, co-creations with the startup companies is something that we have to further consider. Thank you. Let us move on to section 2. In section 2, Japan has a strength in manufacturing. Now, centering on mobility, what will be the winning strategy for Japan? There is diverse mobility, motorcycle, commercial vehicles, and with the evolutions of the software and AI, how the mobility industry will further evolve moving forward. Now, Osaki-san, let me ask you first. What specific evolutions is currently going on? The strength of Japanese manufacturing is high quality with the low cost. As I have mentioned earlier, no matter how sophisticated the software is and no matter how good we utilize AI, we're talking about mobility. We have to physically transport goods and people. Therefore, the hardware plays a very important role. Now, Japan has a strength in manufacturing or the hardware, and if we can leverage that in the field of manufacturing, potential of Japan is very high. Therefore, moving forward, we should further polish our capability in the field of manufacturing. Take, for example, at Subaru, we've been polishing the horizontal opposed engines or highly safety body. There are so many technology that we feel proud of. And also another strength that Japan has is on the desktop basis, run the simulation, and the result of such simulations will be verified on the actual vehicle, and the result will be fed back into simulations and also to run the second round of verifications with the actual vehicles. This continuous Kaizen cycle is there to raise the level of certainty. This preciseness is the strength of Japan. And also, as a result of running the simulations, and should there be the gap in the actual verifications of the actual vehicles, we make effort to minimize that gap. Therefore, highly precise simulations can be there. That is one of the powerful strengths that Japan have. Evolutions of the software technology, combine that with the AI. If we can do that, hardware area is one area that Japan has a strength. Then we can further strengthen our capability in manufacturing.
Earlier, I talked about the eyesight, but the even higher value can be added to our mobility offering. That is what we would like to do. Thank you very much. So you have the consistent on the EV development process and based upon the cycle of simulation. But I'd like to ask Mr. Hidaka about Mars or mobility as a service. You conducted the researches for quite some time over the Mars, and now technology is advancing so significantly, and AI is having impact on the mobility, including the public transportation system, and the effectiveness of AI. How do you see these topics? Yes, as I mentioned at the introduction, I have never created or being involved in the production of the cars myself, but looking at the cars as part of the transportation system, automobiles, the good automobiles, which looks nice and they drive fast and they safe, with the very little failures. It is important to offer these the cars, and it is the very high quality that we can offer transportation system. And also overseas and the auto manufacturers, looking at their announcement, venture client model they proposed earlier. Well, the futurists they're looking at the future potentials. The technology the develops in this way, so this society will be created by that development. So we need to create such and such cars. So that is what they predict. Mobility. Well, I was in the railway service company, so in that sense, mobility has more room for improvement. Well, not just the individual capability, but the mobility and we can work with other the stakeholders. The mobility can provide the transportation, bringing something to place A to place B, but we can also be connected with other players to broaden the scope of the services. So there is an opportunity in that regard. Thank you very much. So in response to what Hidaka-san mentioned, I'd like to ask Inoue-san, what is your view after hearing all these opinions? Yes, thank you very much. Hidaka-san earlier mentioned the keyword mass. So at Daihatsu, I'd like to consider the concept of mass from a Daihatsu point of view. Well, before coming to Daihatsu, joining Daihatsu, I was actually created the Mars Mobility as a service company in the developing countries. Created the business myself, and the payback. It was expected to be 2 years, but actually it took 5 years, and we turned profitable only after 5 years since the inception of the business. So it was quite tough. Talking about the Mars, well, it is the different from the previous methods to buy a car and use it. So the users will be different from the owners of the cars. Then what's going to happen? So who's going to hold and who's going to own the cars, and who are the target users who are going to drive these cars? We need to clarify that to begin with. And the countries where interest rate is high, the ownership itself is costly, so the business is deemed to be failure. So we have to be clear about that. And what the Daihatsu is working on right now is to work together. So go together. That is the name of the service we are offering. Daihatsu has the cars like the Atway or Tanto. So the people who need nursing care, the senior citizens and requiring the nursing care, the nursing care and the suppliers, the companies, and there are 100,000 of them. So those are the care providers can drive by themselves and provide the nursing care to the elderly. So that's what they do today. But this driving part, we can ask the municipalities to own the cars, and Daihatsu provide service as part of the nursing care. So the payment to the transportation and will be the family members who receive the nursing care, who enjoys the nursing care. So that is the type of the trial we are doing, and POC is already being completed. 2 municipalities, 2 local governments have already implemented this. It takes some time to monetize this approach, but we would like to conduct and complete the POC demonstration verification, and we are making preparation to make this service available. So this is the type of business. We are trying to study the reality of the business. It may go beyond the next generation to expand this service, but we hope to expand the application usage of Mars going forward. But together with startups, well, we'd like to explore different ideas with them. We like to work together closely. And I think there are much room for the collaboration. Thank you very much. So the owners and the users will be separate in case of the mobility. And thank you very much for your actual example. Next, I'd like to ask Maruyama-san. So the topic of this section 2 is to enhance the presence of a Japanese industry in the world. And what is the winning formula, winning strategy? Yes, winning strategy, yes. Our UD large-sized trucks are being utilized in more than 60 countries in the world. And the large-sized trucks, they have to be customized because their specifications are different from customer to customer. So customization is important. And the strength of manufacturing is the quality and flexibility. Flexibility means customer needs are different, and we need to respond closely to their needs, which are different from a customer to customer. And quality cannot be achieved overnight. Next year, we will be celebrating 90th anniversary of establishing of the company. And all these years, we have focused upon the quality of our products. It was the company-wide efforts over these years. And the functions of the trucks, the vehicles are getting more and more sophisticated. It is quite a challenge to maintain and improve the quality, but we are using IT to continuously improving our quality. And the quality and flexibility are the key to the winning strategy. Thank you very much. And Farisa-san, I'd like to ask you once again. So you talked about the various types of collaboration. And vision, I believe, is needed to promote collaboration with the different parties. So could you please make comment on that? Yes, the Japanese industry has a know-how process which are quite sophisticated. Startups technologies are at the POC level. It may be effective at the POC, but it has to be mass-produced and scaled in more broadly. So it requires them to work together with major companies, and they practice quality and the efficiency enhancement and the know-how is important. So to catch the trend in the society and to make the good the business model is the strength of the startup, and they have passion to pursue that. So major corporations can work together with the startups, but the monozukuri or the manufacturing practice is the major players can offer. That gives you the opportunity.
And other than that, in producing the vehicles, you need to develop diverse technology, and not just within the mobility industry. Take, for example, in the field of energy, there is the opportunity to enter into that sector. Take, for example, there is the battery technology or engine. Because of the electric vehicle in the course of development, there may be some expertise in the technology, and if you apply that in other industry, take, for example, in Germany or in Switzerland, large companies, let's say that the 3 companies get together and they come up with 10 billion budget, and half will be funded by the government and half is funded by the private sector company. And let's make certain industry the carbon neutral. So under such grand visions, come up with a fund and also involve academia and startup companies come up with the specific solutions. And there are some, they have to pick up the local government who can implement to the society and to have a social implementations within 2 years also, and to collect necessary resources. And there are actually so many projects up and running, and you can get into those projects that are already underway. You can make certain contributions, and also you may be able to obtain know-hows or the data and apply it to elsewhere, or you may be able to take a leadership and make a decision and also get others involved. Take, for example, large companies from other companies, government, startups, academia can be involved, and also based upon the future theme that you have identified to try to lead others. Europe requires the capability and knowledge from Japan, so there are opportunities. Thank you, Inoue-san. Any views now that you have heard Fariza-san's comment? I totally understand what Fariza-san has mentioned. Japanese manufacturing to be brought to overseas. But there may be different approaches that one can take. Take, for example, develop car. Also prepare for the manufacturing and also to go through the actual production phase. But manufacturing is the most difficult part because you constantly have to come up with high quality product. So what is key in doing that is the talent, human resources. No matter how good the material you procure, you cannot cook delicious Italian or French dishes. In other words, you have to polish the skill for the cooking. In other words, you have to also polish the background as well. However, with the advancement of the technology, take, for example, translation capabilities or teaching skills, you don't need to start from scratch, try to teach everything. But to a certain extent, you can leverage on the capability of AI so that there are past cases that AI can learn. Therefore, you can reach to a certain level to be prepared for the manufacturing. But on the final stage, you have to make some fine-tuning and to do some learning. But thanks to the evolution that we hear, the startup companies can make the best use of what is already available to us. Let's move on to the final section, which is the future of the development of the manufacturing supply chain and value chain extending from the mobility. So we will be focusing on supply chain and value chain, particularly the reform of the supply chain is being focused on at UD Trucks. So Maruyama-san, could you comment first? Thank you. Supply chain. At our company, until recently, there were shortages of the semiconductor, the geopolitical risk, as well as due to COVID-19. We experienced significant pain in our supply chain. If the supply chain doesn't function properly, we cannot produce cars. That is what we strongly felt. Now, on our end, while supply chain is becoming complex, those with high level of skills and technology is decreasing due to aging of those engineering. So I have a sense of crisis for the future supply chain. We have to address the carbon neutrality as well as to cope with the autonomous driving. And also the software field is expanding, thereby the supply chain is changing as well as expanding. And as was mentioned earlier, trucks or the commercial vehicles, there is lots of customization being involved. Therefore, supply chain is fairly diverse, collecting data, accumulate data, process them, visualize them, execute them in a consistent and integrated system is very important. Then comes AI, how to make the best use of AI to come up with the optimal supply chain. So this is something that we are working on. Thank you. Hidaka-san, can I now hear your view based on the comment made by Maruyama-san? How will the supply chain evolve and change? A data collaborations linkage will further progress, and also mobility will further expand. One area is utilization. To manufacture something good and sell that is not the end, but we have to make sure that the users will be satisfied, and should there be that disaster will become the power source. So mobility has numerous applications. There will be different use case. The computer used to have only like Excel and Word. However, it's been evolving. The computer is evolving, and mobility is not just there for the transportations, but is expanding the applications. It's difficult to make predictions. However, we already have the technology in the supply chain manufacturing, and we have to come up with the mobility catering to some other different applications. Then Japan can once again become the leading player. Osaki-san, any comment? How to enhance the value of mobility? We have to come up with good ideas. Not just the mobility industry, because we may run out of the ideas. So in that sense, if I may make a prediction of the supply chain moving forward, in the past, auto industry, we say that the foothold is fairly wide. We've been focusing on first tier, second tier, third tier vertical integrations because supply chain is based upon the parts and components provisions. However, moving forward, we have to jointly consider solutions. In other words, the partnership will become more important. Therefore, horizontal type of integrations will be required in the future days. Now, we in the mobility industry, what we have to faced up to is materializing the carbon neutral society. And to do that, there are multi-pathway towards solution. And Subaru battery EV may be the optimal resolution. And with that, we are making a way forward. In order to develop battery EV, there may be technology skills that we do not possess. Take, for example, battery control or the software analysis. There are some technology areas that we do not possess, but we have to receive the support from other players, or else we will not be able to come up with the right solutions. But in order to do that, we have to partner, collaborate with the partners who have the capabilities, jointly resolve the issues to work on the co-creations. That is very important.
So in that sense, rather than vertical integration, but together with partners, the various ideas shall be shared in the horizontal integration approach. So that is where we are heading right now, in my view. Well, as for us, at Subaru, we also consider that internally. And we have the research center in Gunma Prefecture, and we have a huge co-working space there. We created that. And together with many suppliers, working together at the same time and try to solve the issues together. That is what we are doing. So the suppliers, the people from suppliers, and they participate directly in the development of a car, so that we can work together to solve the challenges and issues. I believe that is the trend for the future. Yes, and so you actually created the physical place where you can work together with suppliers. So the collaboration based upon the horizontal integration and the new value of monozukuri manufacturing, I would like to ask the Subaru's view about that. Yes, the speed of innovation shall be accelerated. That is the key, because I believe that the things will move quite rapidly going forward. People from different the areas and domains will get together, work together. So what we are not able to do alone will be able to be accomplished together with other players. So the ideas for the development and technologies will be born and created anew. And the joint procurement of the parts or the sharing common production process are also expected, meaning that we can enhance the cost efficiency of operation and the new resources. By having access to new resources together, we can also enhance the variation or enhance the value to the customers. And we can also broaden the variation of the value we offer to the customer. So it is an exciting prospect to us. And on top of that, creating the new value, the automobiles, well, the usually values decline as we use the cars, but we need to make sure that the value of the car will not be lost or impaired going forward. And we are working on this front with many approaches. Value, well, not they allow the decline in the value is what we are trying to achieve. One example is that we have the Borg, which is the main the model of the Subaru, and we have the electronic the control system. After the purchase by the consumers, we provide updating program of the system to make the ride comfort better. And the maneuverability of the car will be enhanced through updating. And it is a charged service, but nonetheless, it is what we provide in order to enhance the value of the cars. And it is received quite favorably by the consumers. Well, in the conventional automotive industry, we encourage the consumers to do away with the old cars and buy new ones, but that is not sustainable. Because we have to make a good use of energy and resources, meaning that we have to make the system so that the consumers can enjoy the cars for much longer time. Meaning that we shall not allow the value of the car to go decline. We need to have the recurring business partner as well as startups to enable the creation of such a mechanism or the scheme. That's going to be quite important. Thank you very much. And I'd like to ask Nakashima-san. So the new value will be created through collaboration and co-creation, and that is what the Osaki-san mentioned. And the Nakashima-san also has that experience. Am I right? In your work? Yes, having heard the discussion so far, the co-creation, the working together, that is what he mentioned. And today, there are many startups exhibiting on this show, and there are many the business owners or the operators of the startups who are interested in this. Talking about the co-creation is one thing, but actually implementing and carrying that idea, carrying out and practicing the co-creation is another thing. But the talking together in one big room doesn't happen so frequently. But the suppliers, the new suppliers, are emerging, and if you could broaden the scope of such the large room discussion session, and making it available to them, it's going to be interesting. And I received 1,000 units of the battery-related business, and I would like to thank the auto manufacturers for your cooperation. And then the response the auto society will be different. So the suppliers, there will be many startups who are interested in manufacturing, and also that changes the lives of the people working there. So mobility manufacturers' decision making is quite important because it determines the futures of these new companies. So good the suppliers can be nurtured and developed by the mobility manufacturers together. So the case of Germany, yes, I learned a lot from that. Well, the POC demonstration, that happens in many places, but actually the key is the mass production, and the Japanese startups shall be involved in that. And there's a potential to create the mobility society of the future. So that is a message that we can send out from Japan to the world. And doing so in Japan means that we will be able to attract many startups from overseas and other research institutes, the promising research institutes to Japan. And there are so many players here in Japan, which is a small country, but still we have a lot of the businesses and the industry players, which gives us the big promise. So please fully utilize our service. Yes, so this is the government, industry, academia collaboration, and also the Future Mobility the Forum this week. I hope this is going to be the good starting point for such collaboration and the co-creation. So thank you very much. It has been a very intensive discussion, but it's almost time to conclude today's session. So it's almost time. I would like to welcome just one word from each of the panelists. So Nakashima-san, could you please start? Yes, so the brief and the comment from me. So just one word. So this is a new innovation-oriented, this is the totally new innovation which has never seen before, and it can be promoted with the instructions and the leadership of the head of the organization, CEO and president. If you're willing to give the instruction to promote such activities, it's going to be quite meaningful.
Hidaka-san, over to you. Well, we have covered many topics. We should not just listen and take notes, but take actions is very important. So those who have listened to the panel discussions, I'm sure that there are things that you will be able to do. I am also the startup company, therefore I will also engage myself in the sales activity. Thank you. Fariza-san, thank you. Now listening to what others have to say, both large companies, startups, we have to collaborate. That's one thing, but and please give the ideas to the startup companies. Not only that, but why don't we create jointly of the future together? You should specifically show the visions and resources. Startups lack the resources. So if you want the ideas from the startups company, you should not just be asking. You should also share like strategy or visions of the future visions, as well as to show the path to be profitable. And I hope such mindset will further spread, not just the large companies to make an approach to the startups. And also, if you're interested in process or the examples of the European companies, please reach out to me via social media and other means. Thank you. There are good references from overseas we would like to have an access to. Osaki-san, potential of Japanese manufacturing is very large. It's huge. Now, for us to compete on a global scale, we have to collaborate with the startup companies so that we can further enhance our capability. Let's work together. Thank you. Thank you. Inoue-san, over to you. I really enjoyed today's discussion. Thank you. Startup, mobility, Mars. You see a lot of these long words. It sounds very high technology, but there are different roles for different manufacturers on the global market. There's about 100 million units sold for the new cars, half of which is sold in emerging market, and also the growth comes from the emerging markets. From that perspective, there may be things that you have never heard, you have never looked at. However, there can be some realistic production way or the ideas to reduce cost. That is also needed as viable idea. Let's take one specific action after returning to our office. Maruyama-san, lastly but not least, I enjoyed a lot. We are the professionals in manufacturing cars, but if we just focus on the car, we cannot come up with innovations. Therefore, with the startup companies, we would like to engage in various discussions. Therefore, we can create something of a high quality. Thank you. Thank you. And please give a warm round of applause to 6 panelists. Thank you for very rich discussion today. With this, we would like to end the business sessions for today's Future Mobility Forum.